Welcome back, everybody, for our weekly podcast. I guess we can do a quick little recap of the NHL. Start this off if you want to,
Yeah, sure. I'm
and
down.
then we'll get into the football because I was talking about a bunch of my work buddies today. That new episode is coming out, so if they want to win some money, they might want to tune in.
Yeah, we had a
So
good week last week. We'll get
we
to that
did,
after.
yeah, we did have a good week.
We'll get to
You
that
can
after.
you can do the recap for that because honestly, I forget what we hit on, so it's all you.
Yeah.
All right, NHL. Let me search this up here.
All right. Well, I'm going to bring up a question for the NHL right away. You and I are both Leafs fans. Are
Yep.
you any kind of concern right now after the last two games?
No, they're figuring out their kinks. I think they'll be fine. Like obviously they played less than impressive. It's the last what are they on a 3 game losing streak or two?
I think two, but the last two have been like 5-1
Yeah,
losses to teams
blowouts.
that we shouldn't lose to.
So yesterday night, honestly, like I watched, but I didn't watch attentively. I kind of attribute that to, and I'm not blaming Joseph Wall, but maybe he was a tad bit rusty. A few of those
Mm-hmm.
goals that were let in were a tad bit weak coming from a goalie. But yes, I'm not tooting my own horn. He is 30, 40 times better than me because he's in the NHL. But
At least.
they did look a little bit weak. I think that's rusty. I think he'll figure it out. And then the game against Columbus, that was just a bad game. Like they're both bad games by the Leafs, for example, but I think last night they had like 37 shots or something. So once again, they got goalied by Jordan Binnington.
Yeah.
Like he stood on his head. Some of the saves he made were pretty incredible. And then the game against Columbus, they just came out flat. It was back to back. They really didn't play that well. Um, so am I worried? No, no. I think they'll be fine. But like the way I can describe it is this is a true test of their character. But it's also kind of atypical for them because they tend to start off hot right at the beginning of September, win a couple games, and then they lose a bunch, and then they go on a heat. Sorry, I said September and October, my bad. Um, then they normally go on a heater in November, win a crap ton of games, and Leafs Nation is all like, "Yeah, let's go, like we're the best." And then they go on a little bit of a slump again in December. Normally a goaltending crisis in January, and then they pick it up again going into the playoffs. So I think this is just much like the Dallas Cowboys and their fans have the same saying every year and they go through a cycle. I think the Leafs are just going through a cycle. But as I said 2 weeks ago when we recorded a video about hockey, I really like the Craig Berube signing. Yeah, that was the start
Yeah.
of the year. I think he's going to motivate that team. So no, I'm not worried. And like to answer your question here, like you look at the Atlantic Division, Panthers have played 9 games. They're 5-3-1, 11 points. Senators have played 6 games. They're 4-2. Good for them.
Mm-hmm.
8 points. Lightning have played 7 games. They're 4-3, 8 points. Red Wings have played 7 games. They're 4-3, 8 points. Leafs have played 8 games, 4-4, 8 points. Sabres are 3-4-1 in 8 games, 7 points. Bruins are 3-4-1, 7 points, and then the Canadians are 2-4-1, 5 points. That division is tight.
Yeah.
So no, to answer your question, no, I'm not worried. Like, yeah, they're on a little bit of a slump, but like, look at how tight that division is right now. It really doesn't mean anything. They get a win tomorrow against Boston that puts them up to 10 points and back in second place. So, are you worried?
No, I'm not worried. I'm not worried because I think we have enough talent on our team to figure out any situation that we get ourselves in. And I like the fact that you mentioned Berube because he came out, it was either last night or early this morning. He's like, yeah, the boys are just playing too cute. And which has
Mhm.
been one of my biggest pet peeves for the Leafs for the past like 3 or 4 years now because we have so much talent, like especially offensively. And it gets on my nerves more than anything on the power play. We get way too cute with the puck. No
Mhm.
one wants to shoot. No one wants to do anything. Everybody has to make that perfect pass. And that gets on my nerves so much with the Leafs. So I'm so glad that we have a coach that actually like called us out publicly for that because
Yeah,
I hate it so much. Like so much.
which I agree with you 100%. They do. And like, it's funny. Like, my dad and I growing up, we used to laugh at that all the time. And my dad isn't an avid hockey watcher, but he'd watch with me because, and my brother, because he knows we were into it. And that was the one thing he always noticed about their power play, too, is it's just pass, 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 dipsy doodle, dangle, pass, pass, pass. And then a minute's gone by in the power play, and they finally take a shot.
Yeah.
And then after that shot, they might get the rebound. Okay, there's a second shot. They cycle it around again and then pass, dipsy doodle, pass, shot. They got 3 shots in 2 minutes. None of them were a quality shot on net. And they spent that whole time trying to set something up. One thing that's always pissed me off, and I remember you and I talking about this last year, they try too hard to feed Matthews the puck.
Yep.
Try way too hard. Yes, he's a natural goal scorer, but that's my point right there. He'll get his. You don't have to consistently feed him. He'll score when he needs to score.
Mm-hmm.
Set someone else up that's open, because teams are cluing into that shit now. That they did it last year, especially when he was on that push for 70. Teams clued in that on power plays, and he was always getting the puck. And I think that screwed them up going into the playoffs. And yes, they weren't that strong going into the playoffs last year. I thought they would have beat Boston, but I didn't see them going much further than the second round. But I think that screwed them up. They're too focused on trying to get Matthews 70, and you can see they're doing that again. Like, what I like to see yesterday is Domi was actually shooting the puck. Because there's been some, like, and I love Domi, don't get me wrong. Like, if I were to get a Leafs jersey, like another one, I'd probably get a Domi jersey. But what I've noticed a few times this year is he passes way too much. The one that stood out for me was that 3-on-1 where and it was against, I believe it was Columbus or the game before that. Like, let me check their.
Where he tried to, where he waited instead of shooting and he tried to slide it through.
I think it was against the Rangers.
Yeah,
I think it was a Saturday night against the Rangers when they lost 4-1.
100%.
And he tries sliding it through, and it's like, brother, if you just shot that one, A, you would have scored. Mm-hmm. Or 2, you probably would have got a rebound, and then Nylander, who you tried passing the puck to, good chance he would have scored.
Yeah.
As a goalie, man, one of the hardest things to do on a 2-on-1 and 3-on-1 is, one, make the save, but then play the rebound properly before they bury it on the rebound. And I'm sure growing up when you're playing hockey, that's the one thing your coach said to you guys all the time. Shoot off the pads or shoot off the blocker on a 2-on-1, 3-on-1 to get the rebound.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he just off passes. So, no, not worried. I think they'll be fine, but, like, we'll see. The Metropolitan Division was exactly the way I was kind of shaping. You and I were predicting it to shape up here. You got the Rangers, 7 games, 5-1-1, 11 points, goal differential of 17. The Devils, they've played a crazy amount of games already. They've played 10.
Yeah, it's because they started their first
Sweden. Yeah,
Sweden there, so they're gonna have a point in the season where they don't play for like a week.
Yeah. They're 5-4-1. I don't really think that's indicative of their team. They'll figure it out. Much like the Leafs, they got a new coach in Sheldon Keefe. They're still learning his systems, his formats. I still think they're going to be a powerhouse. The surprising one here, brother, the absolute surprising one, the Capitals are 5-1.
No, I know. I'm looking at that too, but, like, I'm also, when it gets deeper into the season, they're a older team. When it gets deeper into the season, their legs are going to go before a majority of other teams.
Yeah.
Injuries are going to hit them harder before a majority of other teams. I can't see them maintaining, like, obviously 5-1. They're not maintaining that because that's incredible. I can't see them maintaining that top 3 spot for more than, like, another, like, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'll be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're an older team.
No, they are. So Ovi's got 2 goals this year. How many away from Gretzky is he?
He's either 39 from tying or 40 from tying.
Do you think he does it this year?
Not this year, no.
Really?
No.
I think he's going to go on some heater at some point of the season where it just turns into kind of like, yes, I'm a Leaf fan, I'm biased, like a Matthews type situation where this guy's just scoring at will. We've seen him do it throughout his whole damn career. Yeah, I honestly think we're going to see history get made this year, and I think Ovi's going to pass it. I really do. Because I know last year he started off pretty damn slow. Like, I swear he didn't score for like 15, 16 games or something like that to start the season. This year he's already got 2. He can score at will. Another one that's surprising, but I mean, they've only played 6 games. Hurricanes are 4-2. I expect them to jump up. The Penguins are kind of right where I expected them to be, 3-4-1. Talking to my brother about it, he said their biggest issue right now is goaltending. He said Tristan Jarry's been letting in a lot of softies, which is sad because the rumor was he was going to be trying to work his way towards being Canada's goalie at the Four Nations tournament. Blue Jackets, 3-3, good for them. I don't think anybody expected them to have 3 wins to start the season, but they do. Unfortunately, one of them was against Yeah, and unfortunately, one of them was against Toronto where they pumped them.
They kicked their ass.
Yep.
That
Islanders
makes sense.
2-2-2, and
I,
then Flyers 1-5-1.
yeah, I kind of expected the Flyers like ish to be down there. I thought they were gonna have a better start to the season, but not really. I don't know. I think we might have slept on like Columbus a little. I still don't think that they're making the playoffs.
Yeah,
But like that whole Goudreau thing, I think there's like an internal, like in the organization, like a bit of fire under their bellies. And I know it's terrible to say,
yeah. Rest
but
in
like,
peace.
yeah, you know what I'm getting at. Like
Yeah,
they have something to fight for somebody who was supposed to be their teammate, and
yeah. One of their leaders. Yeah.
rest in peace.
Yeah, you could be right. They could be doing it for Johnny. Like I know
Yeah.
Monahan's motivated. All those guys are motivated. So yeah, you know
So
what? They might be slept on. That's definitely a team to monitor, especially like December, January, when there's
yeah,
kind of a lull in the season. If they're still getting wins, then yeah, they might sneak in.
because
They might sneak in.
they have that reason to like when everybody's hurt, when everybody's this, when there's injuries, sickness, all that, like they have that reason. Like, no, there's a bigger reason why we need to get on this ice and like fight for these wins, and it's for somebody who's like can't be with us. And I think I think that that is going to be a major factor in how hard they play in like the grit and grind months of the season.
Yeah. You know who's really standing out for me in the East so far? Shesterkin. I know both you and I said he's a stud, but
He's incredible.
holy
He's incredible.
that game against Toronto, man,
He's actually
holy
incredible.
crap. Like just watching this guy, he's so like he's a small goalie. I think he's like 6'1", 6'2".
But he's incredible.
But he just moves around so seamlessly, stops everything. Like he's
Everything.
just flawless in that. I
I
don't know, man. I think this could be a year the Rangers do like finally do it. Like, and I say finally as if the Leafs haven't won a cup since 1967. But I do think this is a year that they can make some noise. I mean, they're right there last year. They lost in the Eastern Conference Finals. So,
when you have a
um,
goalie like that to like know that you have at the back there, it fires you up a little bit more because like you have the thought in your head like you can afford to make mistakes. Obviously, you don't want to, but like you have that last line of defense as possibly and probably the best goalie in the league.
yeah, I know. I know. All right, Western Conference. I mean, the team of the Western Conference right now is the freaking Winnipeg Jets.
I said that
7-0-0.
that was my call.
14 points, 31 goals, 13 against, differential 18.
Winnipeg was my call. I remember saying that at the beginning. I thought that they were going to be good. I didn't think 7-0 to start the
Yeah.
season good, but like I knew that they were going to be a good team, man.
Yep, I thought they'd be good too. Much like you didn't think they were going to be this good. Didn't have them winning the division. I remember saying that. But my God, man, way to put on for a small market. Like they're electric. They're electric. I remember watching that run the year the Vegas Golden Knights made it to the Cup final and lost against the Capitals. And like just watching the Jets in the playoffs, man, like it was just fun. I hope they can do something like that again this year because I'll be tuning into every single one of those playoff games. It's just electric there. Wild, another surprise team. 5 wins, 0 losses, 2 overtime losses. Stars are where I thought they'd be, 6-2.
Yeah.
Blues, surprising team this year, 5-3. Pumped to the Leafs last night.
Binnington, man.
Yeah, sorry, I thought that was a fire alarm going off. 5-3, pumped the Leafs. They're looking good. And you know what I noticed last night? Because obviously I don't really follow the Blues. I never knew Claude Julien was their coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I never knew that. What did they sign him last year as their coach, or is that a new signing this year?
I don't think he was the coach last year because I remember going to see them when they were in Ottawa. I remember going to see them. I don't remember him being the coach.
Yeah, that shocked me. But I mean, he's a great coach, so I won't be surprised if they sneak in. Utah's been humbled a little bit. They're down to 4-3-1. I still think, based off what we said, they may sneak in. They're a fast team. Did you see that highlight? They call it a fight on Bleacher Report because Bleacher Report obviously doesn't really promote hockey too much. But did you see Shane Doan fought Radko Gudas, and they're clipping it back to when Radko Gudas injured Shane Doan, sorry, his
Josh
kid.
Doan.
Yeah, Josh Doan.
Yeah.
He fought Radko Gudas, like it was not really a fist throwing, but more shoving match and stuff. And they're making a big stink about it because they're like, oh yeah, Radko Gudas back in 2016 injured Shane Doan. He missed like 10, 15 games because of that, and his son stood up for him. I think that's pretty cool. If it was an actual fight, I'm all for it. But like a shoving match, I was like, eh. But it's still pretty cool. Stand up for your pops. Like, and like the comments on that post were great. People were like, oh, this kid had a grudge for like 8 years because of this. Avalanche, they're back. Started off 0-4. They are now 4-4. Blackhawks, exactly where I think you and I predicted them to be, 2-4-1.
Yeah.
And the surprising one, and I was high on these dudes. The Predators are 1-5.
Yeah, they have not started good at all, considering the run that they had to middle of last season towards the end, which got them into the playoffs. Like, they were hot.
Yep.
And they have just absolutely stalled out. I don't know. I can't see them making the playoffs anymore after starting. I think they were 0-5, and then they won their last game. But like, unless they do that Cinderella type run that they did last year, where they won like 15 straight games or something stupid like that, I don't know. I can't see them making the playoffs. It's so hard to start 1-5 and make the playoffs in the NHL.
I'm still high on these boys. They're going to turn it around. They're going to turn it around. But like, just they spent so much money in the off season to start so poorly. Like, their GM and all that's just pissed right now because they invested a chunk of change to sign Stamkos, Marchessault, all those guys, and what a bad start. 14 goals, 423 against. Pacific Division. This is a shock in first place here, man. The Calgary Flames, 5-1-1.
Yeah, that is shocking. I don't know where it came from, and I don't want to say it's tied into Goudreau, but possibly there's like a little bit of flame under their bed. No pun intended there at all. But like, I actually don't know where this came from, because I swear to God, I never expected the Calgary Flames to start this well. I didn't see anybody on their team being spectacular at all. But hey, man, if they can continue it, good for them.
Well, yeah, like Huberdeau's having a great year this year. Dustin Wolf, sorry, their new goalie. He's playing great, man. Young kid standing on his head. A lot of people thought losing Markstrom would be a downfall for their team, but man, he's playing great. That's one of those teams too, like we said with the Blue Jackets, I still want to monitor. It could just be a hot start to the year, but once the lull of the season starts in December and January, see what happens, because those are when like the big dogs really come out to play, and you can see, okay, yeah, these guys are pretty serious about making the playoffs. So we'll see. Kings, they have a pretty impressive record, 4-2-2. Golden Knights are kind of where we expected them to be, 4-2-1. Kraken, 4-3-1. And then here's some of the shockers. Canucks, 3-1-2. I thought they would have been better. The Ducks, expected them where they were at 3-2-1. The biggest shocker so far, because I think both you and I were pretty high on them, just like the rest of the NHL world. The Oilers are 2-4-1. And then the Sharks, no one expected much from them, 0-6-2.
The thing with the Oilers is they played the most amount of games last year. Same with the Panthers. Like, they played a lot of games, and they played them like way later than anybody else did, because they made Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. They did the same thing last year, where they started really slow. Again, I have no doubts in my mind about this team, just on the fact of the players that they have. They have Connor McDavid, and at any point he could go on a stretch of like 7 games where he gets like 3 points a game. And that's not even like ridiculous for him, I'll be honest. So I have no worries with Edmonton. I just don't.
Yeah, I'd say I'm the same thing. They'll figure it out. They're probably on a Stanley Cup hangover, and normally it's the team that wins the Stanley Cup that has a little bit of a hangover to begin with. I mean, the Panthers kind of do. They're at their 5-3-1, but they're winning. But like you said, played a crap ton of games. We saw it with Tampa 2 years ago after they made the Cup final 3 years in a row, won twice, and then lost in their third year. They started off the next year pretty slow. You get tired when you go on a long run like that. You get tired. Like, the playoffs in hockey are the longest. 90% of the time, like, basketball playoffs are the exact same duration, like best out of 7. But normally the good teams go through the fringe teams that made the playoffs pretty damn quickly, where a fringe team in the NHL playoffs can still put up a good fight, right? So
and it's
a different beast.
It's just more of a physically demanding sport than anything else, too. The amount of games, the amount of contact, the amount of speed, the amount of like not as much time for recovery between games, especially like playoff games where it's much more intense and you only get like a day off to kind of recover. But even then, you're practicing. And to play more of those games for longer, it's going to tire you out later on in the year, which is kind of what's happening to Edmonton right now.
Anything surprise you so far this year? One thing that surprises me right now is the point leader in the NHL is Cale Makar.
Again, it's not like he's going to end up being like a top 7 probably point getter in the league. Cale Makar is incredible. Like, he's a fantastic defenseman, fantastic offensive defenseman. He's good defensively too, don't get me wrong. But he will get you a ton of points, so that's not incredibly shocking. I'm looking at the leaders right now, and nothing's really like ridiculous to me.
I got one that I can't wait to say after you finish your point.
Like, no, nothing's really ridiculous to me. Goals leader right now is Kucherov. Makes sense. Like, he scores goals. That's not shocking to me. Don't be shocked when you see like Matthews start climbing that ladder. But like, no, nothing in terms of player stats is really shocking to me.
Okay, well, I want you to look at something. Look at save percentage and look at the top 5. Who's the odd man out there that I don't think you would have expected? And I just noticed this right now, and honestly, good for him.
Samsonov at 944 on the night.
Yeah. Good for him, brother. Good for him. I love that guy. He just didn't pan out in Toronto, but like, look at him, man, putting up a good save percentage on Vegas right now.
How many times has that happened, though, where we have a goaltender on the Leafs, they come in, they're like, oh, he's good, he's going to be good, and then he underperforms on the Leafs, goes to another team after, and just balls out.
Yep.
Like, the most recent example is Freddie Anderson of that. He came to the Leafs, thought he was going to be sick, he was good, he was okay, but then he leaves, goes to Carolina, balls out. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, I respect it, man. I hope Sammy keeps balling out this year. Like, good for him, man.
Good for them.
Good for him. Like, that's probably the most impressive thing I've seen so far. Any predictions for the next little bit of the season before our next video?
My predictions there is going to be the Calgary Flames are going to cool off a little bit.
Okay.
And the Edmonton Oilers are going to pick it up.
I respect that.
In that division, I think there's going to be a bit of a change in the tide there in the next couple of weeks. Okay,
I respect that. For me, it is going to be, my bold prediction is the Senators are going to continue to stay hot. I don't know why. Yeah, it's only small sample size, 6 games, but 4-2. My prediction is they're going to continue to stay hot. A not so bold prediction is the Leafs will figure it out. They'll start making their way towards the top of the Atlantic again. In the Metro, can't really predict too much. I'd say maybe the Capitals start to cool off a little bit. The rest seems kind of about right. In the Western Conference, like I said, probably 20 minutes ago, Predators are going to start to figure it out. And then, yeah, I'm kind of like you. The Flames will start to cool off a bit, and we'll see Edmonton start to make a little bit of a rise. So, yeah, nice and short one. There's not too much to talk about in hockey right now. We'll just kind of give our little recap and our thoughts every couple of weeks here, because obviously it's a long season compared to NFL, where we give a weekly video about that and things move quick. So by the time you see this, it'll probably be Saturday, and Hockey Night in Canada will be happening. So thanks for watching. It's time to record another one. Peace.
Always go Leafs, go.